Washington, there's a simmering competition between East and West. But this week, Apple Cup week, it's not so much East and West. The state of Washington becomes a boiling cauldron of Cougars and Huskies. And we all know how well cats and dogs get along. The Huskies have already nailed down their third consecutive Rose Bowl berth, thanks to a stingy defense, shifty quarterback Mark Brunell, and swashbuckling tailback Napoleon Kaufman. The Cougars counter with bowl hopes of their own, the most improved defense in the Pac-10, and an offense capable of striking anywhere at any time. Get out your purple and gold or your crimson and gray. It's the Washington Huskies and the Washington State Cougars. Apple Cup 92 up next on Prime Sports Northwest. From Martin Stadium on the campus of Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, it's Pac-10 Conference football as the Rose Bowl-bound Washington Huskies take on the 7-3 Washington State Cougars. Hello, everyone. I'm Bud Namick, along with former Cougar quarterback Clete Casper and former Husky kicker Chuck Nelson. We have an absolutely perfect day for the Apple Cup. It's snowing, it's blowing, and it's downright frigid. Chuck, it's perfect Apple Cup weather.
Well, if you're going to play an Apple Cup in late November in Pullman, you cannot be surprised to get weather like this. It will obviously affect how both teams play. We'll explore that later in the broadcast.
Clete, this is an omen, I guess, maybe for Washington State. The last couple times it snowed, the Cougars have fared well in this game.
No, all of a sudden the odds are in our favor. We're 14-point overdogs now.
Let's take a look at the Pac-10 standings. Of course, the Huskies have nailed down the Rose Bowl berth and will try to do what no team has ever done before, win 3 consecutive Rose Bowl. Stanford, USC, Arizona, and Washington State comprising the upper echelon in the Pac-10, and Washington State trying to finish off with a 5-3 mark in Pac-10 play, while the Huskies try to nail down their Pac-10 title outright. When you get a chance to take a look at this Husky football team, there's one guy really who has stepped to the front, maybe a little ahead of his time because of injuries. Napoleon Kaufman has really had to bear a brunt on this offensive side.
He's not a big player. He's only 5'9", 170, and he has only started 5 games to this point, but he is the number 3 rusher in the conference. He's averaging almost 100 yards a game. He only needs 3 yards to go over 1,000 yards. For a small guy, he makes big plays. He is the type of player who can really bring a buzz of excitement just by touching the ball. He also returns punts. He returns kickoffs. He'll try to get the ball to him as many ways as he can. He has trouble standing up on a dry, hard AstroTurf. It'll be very interesting to see how he reacts to a slippery field today.
Kaufman with 3 yards to become the first sophomore ever to gain 1,000 yards for the Washington Huskies. Other side of the football for the Washington State Cougars. The guys had a nice senior season, gained over 1,000 yards. Shambe Wright Fair.
Shambe Wright Fair is going to make his last trip down the tunnel along with a lot of his senior buddies. And as a senior, this Apple Cup brings a little bit more on top of the normal hype. And you can expect Shambe is going to come out and try to get off early and fire this crowd up.
Running game going to be that much more important in this football game because of the weather conditions?
You have to look at it and say you're going to have to run between the tackles because you're not going to be able to get wide. You're just going to have to slog it out in the middle of the field and try to create field position with the wind and the snow.
Obviously, the weather is going to be a huge factor for both teams in this game. Washington leading this series that began with a 5-5 tie. Last time the Cougars won was right here in the snow in Pullman in 1988 when the Cougs were on their way to the Aloha Bowl, and Washington with the 3-game winning streak, including last year's victory. The Huskies have been putting a lot of points on the board in the last couple of Apple Cups, and they are right now just ahead of Washington State in offense in the Pac-10. They are second in overall defense. Washington State 11th in the nation in passing offense, and pretty balanced, as are the Huskies offensively. Don James, the top dog, the head of the Huskies, taking his team to the Rose Bowl for the 3rd consecutive year. He has won more games than any coach in Pac-10 history. The 15 that you see on Don James's cap in memory of Travis Spring, a member of the Husky football team who passed away prior to the season. Yeah, you need to be bundled up to be ready for this football game. Die-hard fans who have tried to stay inside the field house as long as they possibly could, and now the stands beginning to swell. Travis Hansen will kick it away for the Huskies, the junior out of Meade High School in Spokane, younger brother of former Cougar All-American kicker Jason Hansen. And before you at home start saying that we got a cushy job, we're outside too. Hansen gets a good foot into it, and Darren Pointer, who is playing with a hit pointer, sets it down, and the Cougars will start on their own 20. Drew Bledsoe, is this his final appearance in Martin Stadium? Even he doesn't know that. He'll make the decision when the season is over. He'll have Butch Williams at tight end, Bobo, Davis, and Pointer on the outside. Chambé right fair, number 2 in the Pac-10 in rushing in the backfield. Bailey, Dunning, Tobeck, Pimiskern, and Tribble across the front line. Bob Garman has been bothered by the flu and that neck stinger. He will play. Andy Mason, one of the outside linebackers, along with Jaime Fields, and we will take a look at that entire Husky defense in just a few moments. That guy's dressed appropriately.
They carved him out from just outside the stadium here about 3 days ago. He has warmed up enough now. He's able to come to today's big.
That's the Iceman that they found.
That's right.
Well, you can see the officials had to do a little work in terms of making sure the chains were correctly set. William Richardson is the referee. Dennis Angel is the umpire. We are set for the first play from scrimmage. Apple Cup 92. That was Boone Borden, believe it or not, who was lined up in the backfield. Mike Price starting some of the seniors. Borden, the senior wide receiver, is also the holder. Wright Fair is a senior, and his first carry was at about 3 yards.
Are you sure?
Brought down by DeMarco Farr. As you see, DeMarco, the nose tackle. Steve Hoffman, the redshirt freshman. Jamal Fontaine, outstanding defensive end. Hoffman and Clifford, the anchors inside. Hoffman, a finalist for the Butkus Award. And the secondary with Walter Bailey, actually wears number 23. Tommy Smith is not here. Lewis Jones starts in his spot. Shane Powako, the free safety. And Josh Moore is the other cornerback. Line of scrimmage, the 38 of Washington State. Bobo lines up in the backfield and now goes to the slot position on 1st and 10. Cougars will try to throw it against the wind. We've got a uncovered receiver, and C.J. Davis makes the catch, drops the ball. Who's going to get it? Cougars recovered it down at the 41 of Washington. But, Chuck, it looked like the Huskies had a little problem when the Cougars sent Wright Fair in motion that time.
Probably Wright Fair came in motion out to the right. Mass confusion in the Husky defensive backfield, making adjustments. Ended up with James Clifford about halfway out on Chambé Wright Fair. Obviously, the confusion carried over to the offensive left as well. A lot of people running in open space on that side of the ball.
Well, there's the first time the ball has been on the ground. It certainly is not going to be the last. 1st and 10, Washington State. Short drop. Bledsoe guns it out, and it is caught by C.J. Davis. Out of bounds at the 5. That was a touchdown the other way for Josh Moore, but he could not hang on to it. And boy, what a game breaker that could have been. We have seen in the last 5 Apple Cups, 4 games, a touchdown interception return, and we could have seen one right there.
Well, you can't fault Josh Moore. He makes his break on the ball, gets a hand on it. A great play by C.J. Davis to stay with that catch. We talked about the Cougs need to take advantage of this opportunity. It's big plays like that that can help you take advantage of an opportunity.
1st and goal, Cougars at the 5. Sparks and Wright Fair in the backfield. Wright Fair, left side, touchdown, Washington State. The Cougars have drawn first blood.
Chambé Wright Fair just going in. They're in that heavy alignment with the 3 tight ends. You see Dustin Smith getting a good block there. And then Derek Sparks with the lead block on the linebacker, creating just enough seam that he could snowball over.
Aaron Price to try the left-footed boot out of the hole to Boone Borden. 23 out of 24 on the year for Price, but this will be a tough one. And he hit the upright, and it caromed left. So there is the first miscue in the kicking game. 11:35 left to play in the first quarter. Washington State 6, Washington nothing. You're watching Pac-10 football on Prime Sports Northwest. Washington State draws first blood in this Apple Cup 92, an 80-yard drive that took 9 plays, 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Chambé Wright Fair with his 9th rushing touchdown of the season. Aaron Price to boot it away. He'll have to have Curtis Geathers hold the ball down. Napoleon Kaufman and Jay Berry are deep. The 2 tailbacks. That is Kaufman in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. A dangerous return man. Cougars have done a pretty good job covering kicks. This is a very short kick And it is taken by an up back, and he'll get out to the 40-yard line. And now the ball comes a little loose. And let's see what they have to say. It was Donovan Schmidt, backup linebacker. And it will be Husky football on about their own 39-yard line. Mike Price coming out to have a chat with the officials. Thought things got a little out of hand there and wants them to keep control of this game early, and that's certainly something that's needed. As Mark Brunell comes out, completing 61% of his passes, he will have Mark Bruner at tight end, Joe Kralik and Damon Mack, the wide receivers, Kaufman and Matt Jones in the backfield. An outstanding offensive line headed up by the Lombardi Award candidate, Lincoln Kennedy. Good field position for the Huskies. Kaufman, the deep back. Jones in that fullback slot with a double tight end alignment. And Brunell going to the audible now, and he's not going to get this play off. He just did before the clock expired, and that's Jones, the fullback, who picked up 2, maybe 3 on the surge. The Cougar defensive front. Dwayne Patterson has been playing very well. A couple of sacks in the Stanford game. Anthony McClanahan, keep your eye on number 41. Some inflammatory comments made by Mr. McClanahan in the Seattle papers this past week. It'll be interesting to see if the Huskies look for number 41. And the secondary, the young and the restless, has done a nice job this year. Greg Burns, one of the top pass interceptors in the Pac-10. 2nd down and 8 for the Huskies. That ball's on the ground. Brunell does a good job just to fall on it. The Cougars say they have it.
Cougars got it.
Here's what it's all about when you're not in the game. Get some prime real estate next to that heater. Darius Turner in at fullback now. Napoleon Kaufman. Nowhere. Washington State's run defense does the job that time. Brian Ford in on the stop, along with one of the few seniors on that Cougar defensive unit, Kurt Lurcher, the senior out of Montesano.
The Huskies try to run their version of the counter gap. Andy Peterson and Lincoln Kennedy not able to get all the way over into the hole. Ford is able to close that gap, and at 295, when he closes that gap on 170, with nobody's feet able to grab hold, it's you're down in a hurry.
2nd and 10 for Brunell and the Huskies. Play action buys him some time. The pass intended for Darius Turner, and he couldn't make the catch. Ball thrown a bit behind him, and he was able to get one hand on it, and that's all.
Washington State doing a pretty good job of getting pressure on Brunell here. They're faking the counter tray and moving around the outside.
Because they are getting that pressure, though, how about a quarterback draw? It looks like that would be very effective.
If you can stop and plant your feet and do the draw part, it'd be great. It's real difficult here to come up with a few plays that are going to work for you. And I think that Washington State has found a couple that work, at least on the running ground game. But so far, the Huskies haven't found that one play that can be successful for them in this bad weather.
3rd and 10. Huskies trying to take advantage of the good field position. Brunell eludes one guy, has the pass complete to Berry, and he gets down to the 26-yard line. That's a 1st down. Heads-up play by Damon Berry that time. He rescued Mark Brunell.
Well, also you see what Mark Brunell can do. First, he eludes the pressure, and then puts the pressure on those defensive backs. They don't know whether to close on Mark Brunell and stop the run or to lay back and play the pass.
You see Ray Hall getting good penetration coming up, and he goes for the ball fake. Nice job by Brunell, and then he stops and dumps it over the top to Damon Berry, who does a great job just finding a little spot, gets the 1st down. So heads-up play by Brunell and Berry there.
1st down at the 26. And Brunell has this one, tries to keep it dry, and he gets brought down shy of the 1st down marker. He is at about the 8-yard line. Needed to get just inside the 6 for the 1st down.
Huskies like to run the option with Mark Brunell. He is a true threat.
There they ran the counter option, trying to get a little step going one way and just get the momentum of the middle linebackers to flow one way. As you see the clock running down here, and it doesn't look like the Huskies are going to...
One player that hopes that the Huskies score before the end of this quarter is Travis Hansen.
Brunell will get the play off. Kaufman through the middle. That should be plenty for the 1st down. And that will be the end of the 1st quarter. And they will march down to the other end of the field, and it'll be a task for the officials to make sure they get a good spot on this football. We have played quarter number 1. The Cougars lead the Huskies 6-0. You're watching the Apple Cup on Prime Sports Northwest. The Huskies with a chance to get things going. Mark Brunell not looking real happy with the delay between quarters here. It is 1st and goal for the Huskies from the 5-yard line. 11th play of the drive is coming up. We were discussing between quarters the Apple Cup weather. 1988, the last time Washington State won in this football game, it was snowing here in Pullman, but it was a snow that was a real dry snow, and it really wasn't windy. It didn't seem nearly as cold. 1982 was probably a little colder than this, but the combination here making this the worst playing conditions we've had in a while. Napoleon Kaufman tries the left side and breaks off where he had initially been stopped and might have got about a yard is all.
Looked like he was going to almost be able to break that play all the way outside into the clear. Chad Eaton or someone had enough of a jersey to keep Napoleon Kaufman in the pile. Still able to pick up about a yard and a half.
I think the Huskies have found their one play that's going to be successful for them, and that's the ISO or counter, just going straight ahead. They're either going to run behind Turner, or they're going to come off to the side with the counter, trying to influence the linebackers with the fullback.
Turner, the fullback, and he gets the ball. Left side has a hole and gets down to about the 1. Oh, you said ISO. I thought you said go over the ice hole. But they're all that.
You know, those big guys, once they get a shot at those little guys, they're going to take it. You see Coach Mike Price. One thing is, it's extremely difficult to even look into the wind with the snow blowing that hard. You see the wind getting that snow up under the hood and Bill up under the glasses of Mike Price. As a player, you're looking at the one end of the field where the wind is coming. That's the directions that the Huskies are facing right now. It's hard to look back.
They try it outside with Brunell. McClanahan couldn't get him from behind. Touchdown, Washington. We are tied at 6. Mark Brunell.
Take no chances with the pitch. You've got a quarterback that has running back ability. Give you one extra lead blocker in Napoleon Kaufman as well.
It's a good call, because not only do you have a good runner at a quarterback, but you don't have any exchanges that you have to make. No additional handoffs, and there you see McClanahan just missing him and trying to get a hand on him, and can't make the play, and Brunell scoots inside the pylon.
Take a look at Napoleon Kaufman right here. Getting that last man out of the way without carrying the ball. He becomes an extra lead blocker.
Travis Hansen tries the extra point, and he gets it. So Travis Hansen able to succeed on the extra point when Aaron Price couldn't. That's the difference in the football game. Huskies 7, Cougars 6, 13:22 left to play in the first half. You're watching Apple Cup 92 on Prime Sports Northwest. Sneak back down to the sidelines and talk to Rich Waltz.
But after that big stop by Anthony McClanahan, Lincoln Kennedy turned to the Husky sideline and yelled, "Run it behind me." I don't know if the Husky coaches heard him, but where did that touchdown go? Around Lincoln Kennedy's end. Back upstairs where it's a lot warmer.
That's where you're wrong.
Well, they had to run wide. If you're going to run around Lincoln Kennedy's end, it's going to be wide.
Hansen's kick, a driving kick. It will hit and skip and be picked up at the 5 by Darren Pointer. And Pointer runs into some Cougars and Huskies at about the 22, and that's where he'll go down. The Cougars have the football on their own 36, they're marking now.
A taste of Eastern Washington, at least.
It gets a little blustery on the west side every once in a while. Bledsoe over the middle, and C.J. Davis couldn't get it. Had to go down after it and couldn't do it. 7:54 left to play in the first half. Huskies lead it 7-6. Washington State scored first, couldn't get the extra point. Huskies managed to tack on the extra point. That's the difference right now. Drew Bledsoe wants to gun it outside, and let's see if it's called a catch or not. Looks like it is. I believe it's the tight end. Nope, C.J. Davis actually was on the ground and made the catch.
Washington State came out in 4 wide receivers, just spread it all over, and they're trying to get to the little hitch route. You see that Andy Mason's having a trouble getting his footing underneath him. He's also got the disadvantage of that extra slit in his pants that goes halfway up his leg, and he has even less material covering him up today.
3rd down and a long 4 for Washington State. Nobody in the backfield. Right fair is going in motion. Trips to the lower part of your screen. Bledsoe has time, and the tight end lets go. 1st down and more. He is down to the 42-yard line of Washington.
from that trips formation and then just have your tight end run across the field. Lewis Jones ultimately makes the tackle, but Brett Carolyn in a virtual foot race across the field with Dave Hoffman. Carolyn knows where he's trying to go. Hoffman's just trying to catch up. You can see a couple steps right there. Lewis Jones comes off of his man to make the play, but not before the Cougars are into Husky territory.
Catch number 31 on the year for Brett Carolyn. Bledsoe pressured, gets it off, and it is caught by C.J. Davis. Makes the catch at about the 8-yard line. C.J. Davis is having a big senior season and a big senior Apple Cup so far.
Big time play by Bledsoe there as Andy Mason in a mix-up in the blocking assignments came untouched. But again, this field doesn't allow him to get there normally as quickly as he would. Watch, he's going to come, and I think it's Derek Sparks goes the wrong way to block somebody, but Bledsoe is able to find a hole and just pumps it in there to CJ. So Cougars threatening again down somewhere near the end zone.
Call it the 8-yard line. 9th play of the drive coming up. Washington State trying to regain the lead. Right Fair back in the backfield. He gets the football left side down to about the 3. Football came loose. They'll say it's down. Snow cannot cause a fumble when it's on the AstroTurf.
Now Chambé takes his turn at having the face mask work as the snow plow. He's got Tribble there to knock it away for him, but a real good first down play there. Cougars haven't been too effective on normal days being able to punch these red zone plays into the end zone. So now they're down, it looks like about on the 1 or 2 yard line.
You can see the pile just moves downfield. Chambé right there finds the hole. Gets that snow cone inside the 5.
Sparks in the backfield along with Right Fair. Bledsoe sneak, and he got close but was turned away. Huskies are saying the ball's loose and that they have it, and the officials are checking it out. They have not called it down yet.
Walter Bailey adamant about it.
Lewis Jones gets pulled off the pile by one of the big Cougar offensive linemen.
The officials have not made a signal one way or the other. Must apparently second down indeed. Third down, excuse me.
Don James watching on from the sideline to see what Washington State will do. See if they go with the sneak again.
Officials stopping the clock to sort out exactly what happened. Here's what happened on the play, and you've got a big quarterback like Drew Bledsoe, and you have the advantage of knowing when the snap count is. You should be able to pick up a couple of yards on a play like that.
Sparks, and he didn't get in. There was confusion on that handoff. It was not crisp.
I don't think that handoff's supposed to go to Sparks. That's the handoff. Sparks is supposed to be the lead back, and you're supposed to give that ball to Chambé.
And they're sending Aaron Price in. And the fans don't care for the call.
Yeah, you can see it looks like a little bit of confusion.
They are actually about at the 3-yard line, though. It's so difficult to tell exactly where the ball is, but it's not your average 1-yard little sneak.
Well, if I'm the Cougars, I go ahead and call a timeout here, and let's make sure that we're all set. We've got a nice place to put the ball, that we've got an area cleared away, and also give Aaron some time to warm up, because he's been standing over there on the sideline with a 1 full foot.
Boone Borden, the holder. Quinn Magnuson to snap it, and they have problems with the spot. He's down. Husky defense is held. Boone Borden actually should have been down. He was on a knee when he picked up the football, but he is stopped, and the ball is at about the 4-yard line. So Washington State has misfired twice now on the kicking game.
Once again, you talk about, there he's down right there. Talk about missed opportunities. First, Sexsnyder unable to hang on to the potential touchdown pass. The snap is certainly where it needs to be. You talked about Aaron Price having been on the sidelines cold. Boone Borden has also been on the sidelines cold. Just highlights the fact it's a 3-man operation when you're kicking field goals.
Mark Burnell facing a 3rd down and 9. Wouldn't be surprised to see him just take it himself. He will hand it off to Napoleon Coughlin, who busts up the middle and gets the first down. So that makes Washington State trying to stop the clock a moot point. And the Husky faithful like that.
Huskies have done a very good job on 3rd down today. Napoleon Coughlin with the big play there.
Nothing fancy. Again, this is just the ice of the left side. You can see Ray Hall getting taken out. Anthony McClanahan got moved inside, and Childs didn't really stay home too well there. You'll see him widening. Ron Childs, number 31, gets way too far outside and can't come in to make that play. So good job by Darius Turner making the block inside there and creating a lane for Napoleon to get up and get a first down. Big player on the Huskies side.
Also a very good job by Andy Peterson and Jim Novell getting that initial seam.
Nothing there for Darius Turner.
Huskies don't care. All they're thinking is don't turn it over right here. As Washington State takes their second timeout. 37 seconds to go. Only one timeout remaining for Washington State.
Mike Price thinking about opportunities that could have been in that first half, and chatting with Mike Levenseller as Washington State will have to go on defense again as the second half starts. And one thing that'll be interesting, it'll be fun to see how many of these fans decide to come back after venturing out at halftime. This is Barry again, and he just hangs on to the football, and that should be the final play of the first half, with the difference being a missed extra point. Travis Hansen able to convert the Husky touchdown. Aaron Price hit the left upright, and the ball skittered off to the left. 7-6, the Huskies have the lead. As Mike Price and his guys leave, and the Dogs follow Don James off the field. They'll hustle in and make some halftime adjustments, and we'll have a look at some of the highlights and statistics from the first half. Give you a chance to warm up as well. The Huskies lead the Cougars 7-6 at halftime. You're watching the Apple Cup on Prime Sports Northwest. Welcome back to Martin Stadium. The Huskies leading the Cougars by a point at halftime. Washington State set to kick the football off to the Washington Huskies. Well, the snowplows have just about completed their chores. We can again see the stripes on the field, but that'll be short-lived.
It was a great halftime show. We had a couple of snowplows came out and plowed in formation, spelled out Cougars.
Curtis Geathers will hold the football for Aaron Price to kick it away. Napoleon Kaufman and Jay Barry are deep for the Huskies. And here we go with the second half of Apple Cup 92. It will be Jay Barry at about the 12-yard line. And he's got some blockers in front of him in a violent collision at the 25. And the Huskies will have the football at about the 28, maybe the 29-yard line to get things started. As you take a look again at some of the halftime statistics. Again, ABC here to televise this game as well. So you will see some things that perhaps we have already shown you.
Key statistic, obviously, the missed extra point by Aaron Price. Whenever you miss an extra point, you just hope like mad that it's not going to come back to haunt you. Aaron Price would like to see some more points on the board for Washington State, certainly.
Would have liked to have had a chance to kick that field goal that Boone Borden was unable to set down for him. Brunell, a little naked bootleg on first down, and he's got some running room, and Darius Turner to block for him, and a crushing blow thrown by the tight end, Mark Bruner. He flat out hammered Ron Childs at the 40.
Well, there's the fake of that toss sweep that we talked a little bit about, where Brunell's able to make something happen, and a great block, a blindsider, and you can see Bruner's pretty fired up about that.
Talk about making something happen. We talked about how successful misdirection could be. Look at all these Cougars are going to be chasing everything to their right, while Mark Brunell is going to fake the pitch and bring it back this way. Lewis Bush and others cannot make the switch. Darius Turner, a receiver to this point. Here's the block. Now Mark Bruner, if we do not continue it, sends Ron Childs a message.
Napoleon Kaufman, nothing on that first down carry. How did you draw like that with your hands in your pockets? I was impressed.
It's these laser beam eyes.
Ron Childs gets back into the action, though, picks himself up off the turf and makes a tackle there.
He's still checking out that elbow. It hit the ground pretty hard, as did just about every other part of his anatomy when Mark Bruner hit 235 pounds.
Okay, enough of that one, all right?
It was fun. It was fun to watch. You got to appreciate it, Cleet, even if
I don't have to appreciate nothing.
Crimson guy.
This is the second half. Let's go, Cougs.
Second down and 10, the option, and Brunell's going to have to keep it. And he takes on Torrey Hunter. And it looked like Brunell might have won the battle on that one, and he falls forward for a gain of close to 7 yards on the play.
But with the weather like this, if Mark Brunell has a choice to pitch or keep, he's certainly going to keep it. See, Anthony McClanahan inside cannot get out in order to put some pressure on Mark Brunell. He comes in late on the play, but if you can isolate people in that option and get a numbers game, keep those inside pursuit people off of the corners, like Anthony McClanahan was kept inside there, you get opportunities to pick up 5 and 6 yards.
Well, another big third down opportunity for the Huskies, who have converted a couple of big ones. 3rd and a long 3. Brunell chased out of bounds. Kurt Lurcher back at the 43-yard line. And again, give credit to Dwayne Patterson on that, as he got the initial pressure on Brunell.
One-man pattern to this side. Receivers unable to get over here into the flow of the play. Kurt Lurcher certainly able to get into the flow of the play. As you said earlier, Clete, Mark Brunell rolling to his right. It makes it much more difficult to square those shoulders up with footing like this.
Cougar defense does its job. John Wardell on to punt it away. Wardell in the first half averaged just under 42 yards a kick on 3 efforts. He had a 65-yarder. He'll be kicking into the wind with Torrey Hunter back deep to receive. A low kick that will bounce inside the 30, and Hunter is going to pick it up in a gutsy play, and he'll end up picking about 5 yards up on the play. Tried to lull him to sleep.
The sleeper play. I'm just going to walk over here and yeah, here's the ball. He's just
looking pretty cat. Looks like an outfielder trying to deke a guy tagging at third. Yeah. Jamal Fontaine takes the bait. Ernie Conwell there to make the stop, but not before Torrey Hunter at least picks up an additional 6 yards for the Cougs.
They'll mark the football just inside the 30. Drew Bledsoe in the first half, 8 out of 15 through the air for 100 yards. No interceptions, no touchdowns. Shambe Wright-Fair had 60 yards on 12 carries. Bledsoe, the junior out of Walla Walla, over the football for the first time in the second half, and Wright-Fair goes in motion. And the pass is caught by Philip Bobo. Shane Pawakoa finally brings him down close to a 10-yard gain.
Once again, Bledsoe, Bobo on the same page. The area vacated by blitzing linebackers. First down, Cougs. We also see a lot more empty seats. A lot of fans decided that one half was enough.
They were all Husky fans that left, I'm sure.
Philip Bobo now up to 139 career receptions, one shy of Doug Flansburgh. Wright-Fair, first down, run down from behind by Steve Hoffman at the Husky 45-yard line.
Pretty good job on the right side, just straight ahead zone blocking. Trying to create a seam. Hoffman there is able to get an arm maybe on Shambe, but he's able to rumble for another first down, and Cougars have crossed the 50-yard line, and so they've got to take advantage of this wind while they have it, and they're making a pretty good surge here. The first two plays of the series doing well.
Interesting that Washington State moved right down and scored the first time they had the ball in the first half, and then couldn't get things done. First possession of the second half, they are moving the ball very well. Wright-Fair will try it again, and this time Andy Mason is there to snuff that play out. Wright-Fair ends up falling forward for a gain of about a yard. Andy Mason looking over to the sideline, see what kind of a defensive signal will come in, and he will also see Hillary Butler come in this situation.
Clifford came running off with a helmet problem there, just trying to dig out the equipment box from behind the benches that's been snowplowed under, and so maybe it'll take him 2 or 3 plays before he can get a new chin strap.
Second down and 9. 2 wide receivers left for Bledsoe. Still has the football after the play fake, going into the end zone. Wants Davis or Bobo. Touchdown, Washington State. Philip Bobo with the catch. Second touchdown catch of the year for Philip Bobo. 17th touchdown pass for Drew Bledsoe.
Well, here you see 2 guys just run into the post, and that's not the way this play is designed, but it's a fight for the ball, and that's a case of who wants it the most, and they run into the big drip. The key here was just the defense for Washington is able to get no penetration. Even when DeMarco Farr breaks free, he's sliding along and can't get in Drew's face. Drew lobs it down there, and the results are good.
And the Cougars are going for 2. They want to try to get a 7-point lead back. That's Schexnayder and Wright Fair both going in motion out of the backfield. Short drop. Bledsoe eludes one would-be tackler. 2-point conversion for the Cougars. That's Calvin Schexnayder on the catch, and it's Washington State 14. The Huskies 7 with 11:36 left to play in the third quarter. Washington State has regained the lead. Philip Bobo doing his snowplow impersonation. Let's go down to the sidelines and hear from Rich Waltz.
Bud, one of the big adjustments the Washington State offense has made, they are shortening up their routes. Receivers are running about 4 or 5 yards less. It has allowed them to move the football, and it allowed them to look deep. That brought the defense up. You saw what happened. Back upstairs.
All right, Rich Waltz, thank you. Aaron Price set to kick it away. The Cougars went 71 yards in 4 plays. Philip Bobo with the touchdown catch, and that catch, by the way, ties him for number 2 on the career reception chart at Washington State. 140 catches. He and Doug Flansburger tied. Only one man ahead of Philip Bobo.
Doug Flansburger.
Yeah, that's a...
Did I say Flansburger? Meant Flansburg. Did I add an ER to his name?
I haven't heard of either one of them.
Cleat has. Out to the 27 goes Jay Berry. Mark Brunell and the Huskies come out for their second offensive series of the second half, and they will begin operations on about their own 27. And the crowd back into it, the ones who have come back for the second half. Napoleon Kaufman tried to find some room, and there wasn't anything there. The Cougar defense filled the hole as Kaufman saw something but couldn't get the feet going in the right direction quick enough.
It is a day for straight-ahead north-south running. Napoleon Kaufman's very good at that, but his real value is in finding seams and finding ways to get to them. This footing certainly takes away some of his shiftiness.
One of the things the Huskies have tried to do is come out here with 3 wide receivers and maybe make WSU commit a linebacker to a wide receiver and open something up in the middle.
12 carries, 45 yards for Kaufman. Brunell to throw. Has the catch. Berry is run out of bounds at about the 32, maybe the 33-yard line.
Looks like they're actually going to mark him up a little bit farther at the 34, saying his forward progress had stopped up there. I'm guessing it's the 34.
Huskies once again just taking advantage of the cushion given to the receiver by the defensive back, Greg Burns. If you're a defensive back, the one thing you're trying to do, like Greg Burns, is keep your feet underneath you, keep the play in front of you.
3rd down and 3 for the Huskies. Brunell on the keeper. A beautiful fake to get the first down and plenty more. Finally run out of bounds and very close to a late hit as Brunell ends up taking out one of the benches as Lincoln Kennedy comes over and talks to Singor Mobley. It was actually John Rushing who made the push. But there was no flag thrown on the play. But a beautiful ball fake by Brunell to buy the yardage.
Right there you see the fake inside to Matt Jones, and then he does a good job of keeping the pitch relationship, of keeping the option alive. Don't let those defenders commit to you until you're already past the corner. Mark Brunell, 4.5 speed. John Rushing gets 2-hand tag on him, and Mark Brunell puts a tag on that aluminum bench.
And you know that's cold and hard.
Gain of 23. Ball on the 41 of Washington State. Matt Jones hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he did well just to pick up about a half a yard on that play. Ray Hall steps up.
That play designed more as a cutback than a fullback dive. Hard to cut back when you can't cut.
On the option, I think Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, is going to try to wire down to his people that go ahead and let's force Brunell to pitch.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and make him pitch the ball one time, because you've got pretty good odds that there's going to be a lot of concentration just on wrapping up that pitch and not trying to explode with it right away.
2nd down and 9 for the Huskies. Brunell, straight drop, has time, and that was a big hit by Anthony McClanahan. Ball was intended for the fullback, Matt Jones, and he had a piece of the ball, and then he got a big piece of Anthony McClanahan.
Huskies have a lot of respect for Anthony McClanahan. They feel this Cougar defense is as improved as any in the conference, particularly in the area of speed and of attitude. Anthony McClanahan exemplifies both speed and attitude right here.
You see Mark's just trying to dump the ball in a little circle delay route, and Matt just can't quite get wrapped around before Anthony nails him. So nice play by Anthony McClanahan, brings up 3rd and long.
3rd and 9, Brunell. Here come the Cougars after him. He could run it if he wanted. He throws. It's knocked down by John Rushing. Intended for Eric Bjornsson, but Rushing stepped in front and knocked it down, and the Cougar defense is held.
John Rushing with a nice play, kind of hiding behind the receiver Eric Bjornsson, hanging in his zone. Mark Brunell fortunate not to have an interception on that play.
Anthony McClanahan also did a good job on that play as the spy. He sat right in front of Brunell and wasn't going to let him scramble, and he forced him to throw that ball in pretty good man-to-man coverage in the snowstorm.
Wardell to punt it away again. Line of scrimmage, the 40. Torrey Hunter sets up at the 10. And Wardell, a low driving kick, and Hunter will let it go, and it will just get into the end zone. By about a half a yard, the Cougars pick up 20.
That's a big play. That's a big play there for Washington State as that ball just trickles over the end line.
9:12 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Cougars lead it by 7. You're watching Apple Cup 92 on Prime Sports Northwest. All right, Drew Bledsoe, some pretty good numbers. 156 yards in this snowstorm and a touchdown. Threw for 295 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Huskies a year ago.
We talked in our game keys about pressuring Bledsoe and how important that would be. Both the touchdown pass and the 2-point conversion examples of what can happen when you don't pressure Bledsoe. Those DBs can only chase those receivers around for so long before a guy of this skill will find somebody open.
Washington State went 71 yards in 4 plays last time they had it. Let's see what they do here from their own 20 on 1st down. Bledsoe will throw on 1st down and has some time and gets Brett Carolyn without the 1st down as he is able to elude the tackle and gets out beyond the 35-yard line. Don't see that very often. Dave Hoffman missing a tackle.
Now, once again, as we saw in the 1st half, Brett Carolyn just outruns Dave Hoffman across the field in the crossing route.
What Carolyn's got is an option here to go inside or out, and he comes out and actually does a little spin move or a pivot move. He gets Hoffman on one side of him and actually pushes off of him. And then he can create a little space between him and Hoffman, and he's got man-to-man coverage there. So nice job by the Cougar offensive coordinator to come up with something that works.
Call it a gain of 17. The run to the right side gets a couple. Andy Tribble and Dave Hoffman saying hello after the play.
The lightest snowfall we have seen all day was at halftime. The snow took a break as well.
There you see the passing yards as Washington State has come out with their first drive and will put quite a few yards through the air, which is surprising with this type of situation we have here. But they're able to get Bledsoe time, and he's finding a way to deliver the ball.
Bledsoe to throw on 1st down. Going over the middle for Pointer. This time he makes the catch. Good coverage by Walter Bailey, but Darren Pointer makes the catch of a very well-thrown ball.
The safety help from Shane Palcoa is there in position to make the play, but the indecision of whether to make a play on the ball or make a play on the receiver causes Shane Palcoa just to freeze for that half a count. Watch the inside help right here. Palcoa is there to lay the lick or make a play, but Walter Bailey forced to make the tackle.
The other thing that Walter Bailey can't do is close. I mean, he was in a position that on a dry field, he has the speed, the makeup capability to come over the top and knock that away, but you just don't have the ability to cut and close on that ball when it's floated up there like that.
24-yard gain. The ball is listed at the 23. Bledsoe, the quick out. C.J. Davis, 6th catch of the afternoon, a gain of 8. Washington State gaining some momentum right now.
Taking advantage of both the protection that Drew Bledsoe was able to get from his offensive line and the fact that they do have the wind at their back.
I'm amazed at how well Drew Bledsoe's throwing the ball as far as the accuracy that he has. He's done a real good job putting the ball in the chest area, in the cavity area where guys can cradle it right there. I mean, that's not an easy throw today. Plant and set that foot and get it out there. And I think the big hands are a big key for Drew today.
2nd and 2 from the 15. Right fair, the setback. Little bootleg. Wanted Butch Williams. He's not there. Schexnayder, touchdown, Washington State.
Well, Mike Price liking this action, a good play call. I was expecting them to maybe try to take their time here and just punch it down the field, but they go with play action. That brings Dave Hoffman. He's picked up, and Schexnayder comes from across the field. He's being covered by Clifford. And again, just a great job of throwing and catching the ball in really bad conditions.
Also a great job of setting up situations where you've got wide receivers on linebackers.
Borden gets it down this time. Price boots it through. Washington State gets the extra point. 6:13 left to play in the third quarter of Apple Cup 92. It's Washington State 21, Washington 7. You're watching the Apple Cup on Prime Sports Northwest. Chuck, the Huskies facing something that they have not faced this year, a 14-point deficit.
Something they haven't seen much of over the last 2 years or 2.5 years. The Huskies 34-3 in their last 37 games. You're not going to be behind very often. They did a good job at Arizona of coming back to take a lead once. They've done that once here today.
Price boots it away. This one will be fielded by Jay Barry at the 12. And he is wrapped up and gets away again. We get a face mask.
A whole bunch of them.
A lot of crimson surrounding Jay Barry. 3 wide receivers for the Huskies. Only Napoleon Kaufman in the backfield. He gets the ball and gets across the 40-yard line to about the 41. Chad Eaton in on the stop along with Chris Frank.
I like how these guys say, oh, I'm not going to wear a shirt underneath. I'm too tough. I'm not going to let that bother me. And then they put pads all the way up their arm to keep warm.
Well, I doubt Napoleon Kaufman has ever played in snow before.
Out of Lompoc, only his second year in Seattle. Certainly no snow in Seattle over the last couple of years. I'm not sure whether he's ever seen snow before.
Brunell with the play action. Wants to throw it upfield. Looking for Bruner, the tight end, and he threw it short. Singler Mobley had position. The Husky fans looking for interference, but Bruner was going to have to try to get through Mobley, who had position to get back to the football.
Contact made before the ball arrived, but don't know whether Mark Bruner's lack of opportunity to change direction is due to the lack of footing or due to the fact that Signor Mobley's in the way. Ideally, you Husky fans would think that Signor Mobley's not making a play on the ball while Mark Bruner is. When everybody's grabbing onto everybody just trying to stand up, it's hard to throw a flag.
Here's a situation where Brunell can roll out to his left. I'd expect him maybe to get out there again.
Quick pass, and it is thrown too high. Intended for Damon Mack, who paid for that one. Greg Burns with the hit from behind, and Brunell walking off disappointed about that pass, not happy. And it will be another John Wardell punt for the Huskies.
Face mask penalty on the kickoff gives the Huskies good field position. Plays like this take that field position away. You can see Damon Mack just squares it up at a point beyond the first down markers. The ball thrown high, unable to make a play. Huskies need to sustain some sort of offensive momentum, both for their own confidence and to keep Drew Bledsoe and that Cougar offense off the field.
Wardell, a high kick that the wind holds up. And the ball bounces around and is down. Darius Turner downs it at the 32-yard line or so. Had he been able to avoid that football, it might have gone on another 10 or 15 yards. 1st and 15. Cougars have shown a tendency to go to right fair in this situation. See if they do. Nope, Bledsoe will throw. He's going to be pressured, gets it off. Philip Bobo, the comeback catch, and falls down about 2 yards shy of the first down. So a 13-yard gain as Bobo lost his footing with Hillary Butler there to influence him.
Once again, time to throw. Huskies playing a zone on that play. Philip Bobo just finds the gap. Bledsoe has time to find Philip Bobo.
Philip Bobo enjoying the last 2 outings against the Huskies. 9 catches last year. He has 4 here today and a touchdown. Huskies coming up on the line, showing blitz a little bit. Here they come. Handoff goes to Wright Fair, who breaks through that initial blitz and gets out near the midfield stripe. Let's go down to the sidelines to Rich Waltz.
Thanks, Bud. One of the biggest adjustments that was made on the sidelines was by the offensive line of Washington State. After warm-ups, the offensive line went back in the locker room and put on longer cleats. And by the time that Drew Bledsoe is getting, it looks like that adjustment has worked. Back upstairs.
Interesting observation. Line of scrimmage, the 49, after that 9-yard gain by Chambé Wright Fair. Long count by Bledsoe. Again will throw on first down. Wants to go deep up the sidelines and overthrows C.J. Davis.
Got hung up a little bit, and Drew's going over to talk to the official, saying that there was some holding going on. My guy couldn't get loose, but I think that one was just kind of thrown away. The Huskies playing bump and run, trying to make something happen again, going man-to-man and saying, hey, if you're going to complete a pass, it's going to be a high percentage or a low percentage pass. You're going to have to put the perfect ball in there over the top of us. We're not going to let you catch it in front of us like you have been doing.
Well, that Husky defensive philosophy is we're going to send a lot of people and put our defensive backs in man-to-man. They shouldn't have to cover your guys very long because we should get to the quarterback. That's not happening today.
Big gap for Wright Fair, and he is gone. 51 yards, touchdown, Washington State.
What do you say? Washington State has found the method to get the ball in the end zone. Had a lot of trouble the last couple, or at least the latter part of the season, and all of a sudden things are working right. You'd almost suspect that they were spending the last 3 weeks with the offense just planning for the Huskies instead of who they were playing, but they found the right deal. Here you see just picking up the blitz. You see the stunt coming in. Hoffman goes to one side, and he overruns the play, and there's a big gap created, and the defensive people, Jaime Fields, Shane Palcoa, can't get to Chambé, and he rumbles in.
Aaron Price to attempt the extra point, and he got it. 3 minutes, 57 seconds left to play in the third quarter, and the Washington State Cougars have a 21-point lead in the Apple Cup. You're watching Prime Sports Northwest.
Those long runs, not unfamiliar to Husky fans. Huskies commit a lot of people to the line of scrimmage. The Cougars spread out the field. Once that running back like Chambé Wright Fair pops that line of scrimmage, there's just no bodies left, and it's a foot race. That time, Chambé Wright Fair is the Olympic champion.
The kick will go out of bounds, and the Huskies will either have Mr. Price booted again or take it at the 35, and probably just flat out take it at the 35 and see what they can do offensively. Well, the Huskies have never been in this situation. Let's see how they react to it. Bjornsson and Barry, the wide receivers, to the left side with Napoleon Kaufman, Darius Turner in the backfield. There's the pitch, and Kaufman makes the catch. Eludes John Rushing, but can't get past Chris Frank and Mark Whitmire. They're going to call it a fumble. Cougars have the ball. First turnover of the day, and Washington State has the football at the 32 of Washington.
We talked about the Cougars trying to force the Huskies into a pitch because things happen when the ball is in the air. When the locusts come, they eat everything. Torrey Hunter celebrating the first turnover of the game. Napoleon Kaufman in the game in Arizona misplayed 2 punts and fumbled the ball deep in his own end. Lost his starting job last week, regained it this week. Big plays in big games by Napoleon Kaufman are supposed to be in the favor of the Huskies.
See if the Cougars go for the end zone. Bledsoe against the blitz, dumps it off. Butch Williams makes the catch, about a 9-yard gain.
Dave Hoffman's getting real tired of that play. He just doesn't have the capability to come up and jam the receiver like he normally would. And the Carolyn and Williams connection has come through today. Here, Drew just does a good job of avoiding Lewis Jones long enough, dropping back long enough to deliver the ball, and while it's not a first down or a big play, it's not a turnover, and a heads-up play by Drew just to get the ball in a place where Butch could catch it.
And gives you a great play call on 2.5 yards. Are they going to give the catch to C.J. Davis? Yes, they will. At the 17-yard line. And Washington State trying to deliver the knockout punch.
We talked about the Huskies on offense trying to come up with a big play. The Huskies on defense also trying to come up with a big play. They will be blitzing more, trying to force more turnovers, create some havoc. Talked about those big hands of Drew Bledsoe being an advantage. That strong arm does too. It's like paddling a canoe. You got to paddle faster than the current. You've got to throw it faster than the wind is blowing, and Drew Bledsoe can do that.
First down on the 17. Wright Fair is brought down at about the 15-yard line. Andy Mason on the stop for the Huskies. A happy Cougar sideline right now.
2 tight ends, 2 wides, and Chambé in the backfield.
2:08 left to play in the third quarter. Wright Fair will try it on first down. Down to about the 2-yard line.
Good first down play. Chambé motoring those legs, popping them along there. A couple of guys, our neighbors here, Lynn Swan and his cohort doing the game for ABC, and I am sure they just can't wait to come back to the Palouse. Lynn Swan, is interesting, was out catching some of Drew Bledsoe's passes just to see how they feel at the cold air here today.
Sparks and Wright Fair fumble on the play. Huskies say they have it. Let's see.
In his hurry to get away from center and make a play, Drew Bledsoe.
Well, Drew or Tobeck doesn't have it.
And Robbie Tobeck, the two closest to the play, come up empty-handed.
There was something strange about the timing of that one from the start. Derek Sparks, the running back, was really leaning forward, trying not to make a step before the ball was snapped.
That pile also may be in the end zone. It may come out either a Cougar touchdown or a touchback, depending on where the ball itself is. You got to look at where DeMarco Farr is.
A lot of very interested observers, and this is a situation where, you know, there's just a fight down there for that ball, and it could be still going around.
To bring out the jaws of life to separate that down.
Washington State. How about that? Who are you going to credit it to? I don't think the Cougar fans care.
It could be Conrad Pimiskern's first touchdown. Could be a lineman at the bottom of that pile. No matter.
It's Pimiskern who's got the ball, and he's going to celebrate out of West Vancouver, BC.
6 points for the Cougars, no matter who's at the bottom of the pile. Not exactly as that play is drawn up, but Conrad Pimiskern will have some stories to tell now.
Here's the play, and you see that Drew kicks it around, it's pulled forward, and there's Pimiskern, and you can see him just scoop that ball in. He said, look what I found, 6 points.
That's amazing he was able to hang on to it that long in that pile. His younger brother will stay on and make sure there's a Pimiskern on the Cougar football team here, redshirt freshman. Still 1:25 left to play in the third quarter. The spot is good, after the snap is good, and the kick is good. Washington State has exploded in the third quarter. 35-7, the Cougars lead the Huskies. You're watching Apple Cup 92 on Prime Sports Northwest. Price will kick it away from midfield because of the penalty. And he will step up and just root it deep, and it will sail out of the back of the end zone. Huskies need to make something happen in a hurry now, and nothing happens on that play. Jay Berry swarmed under, might have lost about a yard. Chris Frank, a senior out of Junction City, Oregon, getting an opportunity to play quite a bit in the second half of this, his final game in Martin Stadium. And Don James knows his guys need to get something going offensively in a hurry. Brunell set to throw, now takes it down and wants to run it, instead dumps it off to Berry. And Berry gets across the 30 out to about the 33. It's good enough for a first down for the Huskies.
Once again, the time-buying capabilities of Mark Brunell. Damon Berry was open right from the get-go, but Mark trying to look downfield and make a big play. Damon Berry, not the initial receiver, not my first choice, says Mark Brunell.
You can see how difficult, you alluded earlier to the wind blowing down there and how tough it is to see. You can see how Brunell was really having to squint to look over to the sidelines and see the play call.
Well, the wind is certainly not blowing any less or any lighter. It is picking up, if anything.
First down, Brunell, quarterback draw. Gets a little bit of a block from Joe Kralik, breaks a Torrey Hunter tackle, and has room up the sideline and goes out of bounds. And this time, John Rushing tries to help him from going into the bench.
Either helping him from going into the bench or holding him up, holding both of them up.
Trying to decide who's going to go down and who's going to land on top. It's a good job and some sportsmanship showed by the Cougars. We're not really known for that in this game, and I like to have a talk with the guy that held him up.
One of the first quarterback draws we've seen the Huskies run that is called quarterback draws. You can see right here on a dry field, Mark Brunell turns that corner and is in a sprint. He's unable to get turned upfield to go straight ahead, and the Huskies with only 29 seconds left of going into the wind.
Brunell almost lost the snap. Sends it up for Jones, who makes the catch and is wrapped up immediately. Gain of about 5 on the play.
Also keeps the clock running as Matt Jones is tackled in bounds. Mark Brunell and the Husky offense has run their last play into this wind.
None too soon, says Brunell, as he's looking over at the frozen tundra that is the Husky sideline. There you good look at senior Curtis Gathers as the third quarter runs out.
And 15 more minutes of football. The Cougars will try to gather an Apple Cup victory over the Huskies. 35-7, Washington State leads it. You're watching the Apple Cup on Prime Sports Northwest. Washington State leading Washington 35-7 as we begin the fourth quarter in snowy Martin Stadium. Washington State trying to end a 3-game skid in this Apple Cup, and question that comes up now is if this score holds and Washington State comes up with a convincing win over Washington. The Cougars finished the season at 8-3, and according to a number of reports heading into this game, even a big Cougar win would not get Washington State to a bowl game. And you don't have to be a Cougar fan to say that this team at 8-3 not going to a bowl would be a crime.
Well, I think it would be a crime if there were other teams out there that were 8-3 that were being selected for whatever reason. But there's nobody out there that is even.
There might be some teams that are 6-6 that get to go though. Swing pass to Napoleon Kaufman. And he ends up losing a couple of yards. We got a flag down at the 20 as well.
Did we do this once before?
Yep, we did. Looks like it'll be the small one, but the first down comes with it.
Ball's going to be spotted at about the 18-yard line. Mark Brunell out of Santa Maria, California. A remarkable comeback from the knee injury. And it's wonderful to see that he is able to move as well as he still does after that major injury. And here he goes moving again. Gets around Anthony McClanahan and gets hit hard at the 3, and his momentum will take him down to about the 2-yard line. Brunell has scored the only touchdown of this game for the Huskies.
Almost got another one there as he's able to scramble right up the gut. Receiver is unable to get open, but you see he'll make his move on the spy, Anthony McClanahan here. He goes up with the arm, and Anthony can't plant and cut and get back to him. Singor comes in, gets a piece of the face mask again there, and Brunell is probably looking for a little help there from the official again.
There are some people open downfield. You do wonder whether those white jerseys actually make a difference trying to find people in against that snow background.
Napoleon Kaufman, second effort, gets him very close to the goal line.
Huskies certainly want to score, but they would like to score as soon as possible. Also sets up if the Huskies do indeed score. This is a perfect field if you're going to try an onside kick because it's easy to create a chaos situation.
You're not going to get many high bounces, though.
You're just going to try to scoot it on the ground and hope that some of those gloved hands are unable to come up with it.
Second and goal from the 1. Brunell will try to sneak it himself, and it looks like the surge got him in. It did. Mark Brunell with his second rushing touchdown of the game. 5:50 left to play. The Huskies still need a bundle. They trail 35-13.
Touchdown number 8 on the ground for Mark Brunell. Huskies look like they will go for 2.
It's a higher percentage play, the way that it is out there on the field trying to kick a slap ball through.
Is successful with this. They pull to within 20 as opposed to 21. Still takes 3 touchdowns to win. 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point extra points, and a field goal is still only 19. A little curious as to how the numbers work out on this one. What the advantage is of being behind by 20 versus 21.
Probably your kicker can't separate himself from the bench he's been on. He's frozen to it.
Burnell rolling out, looking for that 2-point conversion, and throws it, and it is caught. Damon Mack for the 2 points. So it's 35-16, 5:50 left to play in the football game, and we're probably going to see an onside kick in just a moment. But first, let's take time out. Washington State leads it. Travis Hansen will be set to try what you would expect to be an onside kick attempt. Washington State expecting that. They have the hands team in. Philip Bobo is the deep back.
Huskies making no attempt at disguising their intentions. 8 players over here around the numbers on the near sideline. Travis Hansen teeing it up on the far hash.
As you can see, they're going to get a running start. I like this idea. Surprised more teams don't do this.
Well, as a kicker, you just try to time it. Basically, as soon as they cross that 30, you start going. The one thing you've got to do as a kicker is kick it 10 yards. That's the one mistake you can't make.
Never made it far enough. Cougars will get the football at the 41 of Washington. Trips left for Washington State. Wright Fair back in, and he gets nowhere. Gets to the line of scrimmage. DeMarco Farr coming up, and Steve Hoffman. Mike Price, Mike Levenseller on the Cougar sidelines.
Cougar blood runs deep on that coaching staff. See Mark Brunell, not the way he wants to finish his Pac-10 career. Senior quarterback has come back from a lot of adversity. Rose Bowl MVP, blows a knee out, demoted to second team, now has had his opportunity, has played very well. His 2 best career passing games were last week and the week before. As you see Chambé right there with his second big play of the game.
41 yards to go with a 51-yard touchdown run. Chambé Wright Fair with 11 touchdowns this season.
Coug fans digging it. Chambé Wright Fair, just a quick hitter. Nothing but straight ahead zone blocking. Washington tried to make the penetration coming from the outside in and just didn't quite close that little gap down. I'm surprised it just didn't jump in the air and do a swan dive into the snow. Nice bit of blocking up front. Nothing real special Chambé had to do, just cart that ball into the end zone. Having a heck of a day, though. Great way to go out.
190 yards rushing for Chambé Wright Fair. Aaron Price boots it through. 5 minutes exactly left to play in the football game, and Washington State can celebrate 42-15, the lead over the Huskies. You're watching Apple Cup 92 on Prime Sports Northwest. Chambé Wright Fair, 190 yards in this game against the Huskies, his career high. And he will, if he doesn't carry the football again, end up about 20 yards shy of moving up into the number 3 spot all time on the career rushing charts at Washington State. Aaron Price's kick goes over near the sideline and will go out of bounds, so the Huskies will get it at the 35 again. Clock moving, 4:20 left to play in the football game. Cougars and Huskies playing out the string. Pass is caught by Damon Mack, and he gets out to about the 46-yard line. Should be good enough for a Husky first down. Stops the clock.
Damon Mack, a senior for this Huskies that has put in a lot of time. Saw his first starting action this year. Played behind Orlando McKay and Mario Bailey. You can see there's a bit of anxiety to get this over with on the Husky sideline.
Brunell trying to buy a little time again. And will simply try to save time by getting out of bounds, and he's chased out by Kurt Lurcher. Stops the clock with 3:52 left to play in the football game. Washington State, after having given up 111 points to the Huskies in the past 2 years, they've held them to 15 in this one.
Up until today, the most points the Huskies had given up in one game, 16.
Well, last year, Washington State scored as many points as anybody did against the Huskies and moved the football very well. And this is an improved Washington State team and a Husky defense that's not quite the dominating force. The pass is caught by Jason Shelley. It's a foot race, and Shelley is dragged down from behind by Greg Burns at about the 7-yard line. Shelley showing a little glimpse of the Husky future, using some speed to get ahead of Greg Burns.
You get an idea of what kind of speed he has. He has 18 catches on the year, number 3 receiver on this Husky team, averaging over 18 yards per catch.
Brunell calling the signals at the line of scrimmage now. We'll spike it down to stop the clock. 3:37 left to play. And Don James chatting with the coaches up in the press box here at Martin Stadium. This is one of those days where you don't mind being a coach in the press box.
It's one of the advantages of being up in the glass enclosed press box here.
Huskies having given up over 100 yards to Chambay Wright Fair. Haven't done that since the middle of last season. The first time this year anybody's gone over 100 versus the Husky D. May see the Huskies actually drop out of the top 10 this week. It's been almost 2 years since they have not been in the top 10.
Well, lost today by the Huskies, and Michigan being tied again by Ohio State this time will take a little luster off the Rose Bowl.
Well, 3 weeks ago you were looking at a number 1 Huskies versus a number 2 or 3 Michigan Rose Bowl. Now you may have neither team in the top 10.
TJ Folkers with the big hit on Jay Barry. Barry able to fall forward to perhaps just inside the 2-yard line. Cougar defense would love to keep the Huskies out of the end zone here.
TJ doing a pretty good job of lowering the boom there and gets a little finish-off help from Lurcher, another senior that's doing his last game. Big Gallagher goes flying over the pile.
Clock winding down to that 2-minute mark. Washington State will have an opportunity to savor an Apple Cup win here in 1992. Brunell into the end zone, and we might have some interference called. Nope, no flag. Greg Burns wrapping around Jason Shelley to knock that one away. It'll be 4th and goal from the 2.
Well, you're not going to get a break. You're not going to get a break.
And they haven't gotten many today. You're just going to be able to see the quick slant here, and Shelley has inside position. The officials right there, though, saying the timing was there as the ball was there. Greg Burns agrees with that call. Just a sophomore.
Ernie Conwell, another tight end, comes in. Jay Barry's in. Darius Turner is in. Shelley is the lone wide receiver. Bruner and Conwell, the 2 tight ends. They'll try Turner, and he gets it into the end zone for the touchdown. So the Huskies cut the margin.
Says the senior scores what may be his last touchdown. Straight ahead football once again. Or give it to a big guy. See him going to run behind a big guy. Ernie Conwell and Lincoln Kennedy do a great job. Darius Turner just gets on the hips of the big number 75.
You can see that 230 pounds went right through TJ there. TJ got the first lick in on Jay Barry, and they gave it to the big steamroller. Turner had a great career as a Husky.
Huskies will go for 2 again. Barry lined up as a wide receiver, now goes in motion. And Brunell's pass is caught by Barry, so the 2-point conversion for the Huskies. 1:49 to play in the football game. It's Washington State 42 and the Huskies 23. And we are just about wrapped up on another Apple Cup. You're watching Prime Sports Northwest. The most consistent thing about this game has been the snow and the wind.
It has not let up. If anything, has accelerated. Huskies once again will try the onside kick. You see more celebration on that Cougar sideline. Last year's Apple Cup saw the Huskies score the most points that the Huskies have ever scored in an Apple Cup. This, the second highest point total ever for Washington State. They scored 53 points, or 52 points in 1973. Only the second time they've ever been over 40.
Hansen gets the kick further this time, and there is a scramble for the ball, but the Cougars cover it. Washington State with 463 yards of total offense, and Torrey Hunter having some fun. And Walter Bailey knocks it away, and Torrey goes back, say a little something, and the officials come over and get him out of there. Huskies can stop the clock, so Washington State will, instead of just taking the snap and setting down, try to move it and get a first down or so. And Derek Sparks busts it through. He says, hey, I saw Sean Bay do it a couple of times. Maybe I can sneak through and get a touchdown. Well, Sean Bay right fair has completed his Cougar career unofficially 190 yards rushing in today's game and 3 touchdowns.
Great day, did a good job of taking care of the football, too. There weren't any turnovers that were directly related to the running game. Drew had an interception, but they did a real good job. One of our big keys today was don't turn the ball over, and especially don't turn it over early. Did a good job taking care of a slippery rock today.
Second down, and call it 6 for Washington State, and Sparks tries the right side, gets to about the 40, picked up a couple of yards on the play. Mike Price counting down to his first ever victory over the Washington Huskies.
I think this is the first time that he's going to acknowledge that this game's over. He's going to look up there and he's going to think to himself, yeah, let's go to the knee, let's call it a day, and he's going to start to celebrate a little bit, because this has been a long time coming for a guy that's put up with a lot of abuse here in the local papers, and congratulations goes to Mike Price and his whole Cougar team. They did a great job today, prepared well. I think if one of the things that might be the real tell of this game is the Cougars were able to decide which plays would work for them and pull those out of the hat.
Drew Bledsoe takes a knee, and that'll be it. Apple Cup 1992 is history, and Mike Price isn't going to allow himself a smile until it is all over. And here come the fans as well.
Everybody's out sliding around. Drew Bledsoe's going to keep a hold of that ball. You put that in the trophy case.
The clock is now beginning to move, and Mike Price will allow himself to make his way across the field. A tough day for that young man, but he's got a Rose Bowl to look forward to. And the countdown, and Mike Price now says it's okay. Lincoln Kennedy and Drew Bledsoe, a couple of All-Americans who just may see each other again. Aaron Price with his dad. It was back in the Arizona game when the Cougar players kidded Aaron about saving his dad's job by kicking a game-winning field goal, and now the Cougars can celebrate an 8-3 season, and that's what this one was all about, the Apple Cup. A victory lap, if you will, in Martin Stadium. The Cougars have defeated the Huskies 42-23. We'll be back to wrap it up. You're watching Pac-10 football on Prime Sports Northwest.